Okay, our today's section is 10 and our topic is controlling. If you remember, we have already created our controlling area when we were posting the GL documents. So we got an error that no controlling area is assigned to the company code. So we created the controlling area and I will show you the highlights here. The higher level of hierarchy in controlling area is operating concern, yeah, which is used for profitability analysis. And one operating concern can have many controlling areas. It's one-to-many relationship. You can say that as company code is the highest level of hierarchy in FI module, similarly operating concern is the highest level of hierarchy in CO module. Now if you want to utilize controlling in your company code, you must configure at least one controlling area. If you have got a second controlling area, you must have a very strong reason to have the second controlling area. It is possible that the second controlling area is related to the different business line. Okay, if it is the same business line, then one controlling area. And wherever your companies are located, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, all of them will be using under one controlling area. As you can see here, controlling area 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, yeah. And similarly, one controlling area can be assigned to many company codes. Again, it's one-to-many relationship. So company codes, we are in UK, the second is in Germany, the third is in Spain, then France, then Italy, okay, so on. So they will be using the same controlling area. Now prerequisite is that if you want to have one controlling area, you must have the same chart of accounts and fiscal year variant. That is the question asked in the certification exam as well. The template controlling area or the standard controlling area which SAP has delivered to you is 0001. So we created our controlling area. We can create controlling area in enterprise structure. Also, we have the node in the system. If you go to SPRO, SAP reference IMG, so we can create controlling area through enterprise structure in definition and controlling. Okay, maintain controlling area. We are not using operating concern. Yeah, if we are working or customizing profitability analysis or configuring profitability analysis, then we have to create operating concern. We can do this later on as well. It is not a requirement that you have to create operating concern before maintaining the controlling area. You can do it later on as well. Only for training purposes. In the real business scenario, if the company is using profitability analysis, then you can create operating concern first and then you can create controlling areas. Yeah, so it depends. Controlling, and we can also maintain the controlling area through this node as well. This node will be much better option to maintain controlling area because this will give you all the options. You cannot have many options when you maintain the controlling area through enterprise structure, but you can have other options like creating the cost center standard hierarchy through this node. So if you execute this and go to maintain controlling area, we can copy controlling area as well from the standard template, but I am gonna create uh, my own controlling area. Double click on that, and we have already created controlling area that was ZA01. ZA01, and if you click on that and go to details, so if you remember, okay, what is controlling area? Yeah, controlling area is the central organizational unit within the CO module. Okay, it is representative of a contained cost accounting environment where costs and revenues can be managed. That is a definition of the controlling area. Okay. Now, if you see, the first option is assignment control. If you have got multiple company codes and you wanna assign one controlling area to many company codes, then you have to select this option, cross company code cost accounting. But if you have got only one company code, then you have to select controlling area same as company code. Currency setting. Currency type 30, we are using group currency, and the currency is euro because our head office is in Germany, or the head office is in Germany, that's why we are using euro. But our company code currency is GBP, which is our local currency. And chart of account is ZAU1, and fiscal year variant is ZA, which is the same chart of account and fiscal year variant which is assigned to our company code. Cost center standard hierarchy, that is another question in the certification exam, that you can create cost center standard hierarchy within the controlling area. So that's the question which is asked in every CO, not FI, CO exam question, that there are 4 or 5 different options and you have to select the one that cost center standard hierarchy is created. Yeah, so there are 4 or 5 options in which one of them will be within controlling area. So this is within controlling area. You cannot see the hierarchy, it's just the name, but hierarchy I will show you later on. Then I told you about the reconciliation ledger. Reconciliation ledger was used before the concept of new general ledger accounting. This helped the reconciliation between CO and FI. I have already showed you the integration between FI and CO. Yeah, but this is for integration between CO and FI. Now nowadays the companies which are using new general ledger accounting, they don't have to activate reconciliation ledger, because through the new general ledger accounting, reconciliation between CO and FI is real time. Okay. So we will see that integration when we will be in our topic new general ledger accounting. Then the second option is settings for authorization hierarchies for cost center. You can lock the standard hierarchy by tick on this button, and then alternative hierarchy will be used. Similarly, the same setting you can do for profit centers. After that, we have to assign this controlling area to our company code. Okay, so company code AU01, we assigned it with our controlling area. If we have a second company code, you can create it. For example, uh, if you click on new entries, I created the new company code AU02. AU02 actually, okay, oh sorry, AU05. Yeah, I created AU05 for Germany company code. Yeah, just to show you how we can assign. Okay, so now if you go back, and so you can see two company codes are assigned to the same controlling area. Germany company code is also using the same fiscal year and same chart of accounts. If it is not the case, then you can have the error. Because I have created this company code myself in order to show you the cross company code transactions as well, which is our topic later on. Okay, so the requirement is you must have the same controlling area. So similarly, as I assigned this company code, so you can do the assignment for all your company codes. You don't have to create controlling area again and again. Okay, now activate components. From this option you can choose which components are activated. So last time we activated cost centers, activity type, order management, commitment management, profit center accounting, project, sales order, cost objects. And if you wanna activate real-time management or commitment management, so you can do it here. So this is for alternative authorization hierarchies for cost center. So through this option you can give authorization to use alternative hierarchies. Click on save. Alternative hierarchy, standard hierarchy is always one. When we say standard hierarchy is always one, alternative hierarchies can be, in other words, groups, cost center groups, which are created under the standard hierarchy. Okay. So you don't have to confuse with this concept here. For example, cost center group we have created CCSH. Now under this standard hierarchy, the group is finance. Under the group there is a lower group, yeah, finance manager, yeah, accountant, clerk. Under the finance officer there is a cost center that all the cost related to the finance manager will go into that cost center. So it's like a hierarchy. Save.
Sorry, those alternative hierarchy, do you need to create them?
Which one?
The alternative one.
We will create it when we will be in the hierarchy screen.
Oh, okay.
Now existing fiscal year, the year is 2014. Okay, go back, and that's how we can maintain our controlling area. Next is you have to maintain the number range. If you double execute this maintain number ranges for controlling documents, you have to make sure that the number range exists. Let's say if you go to AU01 and click on display intervals, so no number range exists. If there is no number range exists, so you can have the error when you post the CO document. Yeah. So you can click on copy, or you can create your own by click on change intervals. Okay. Or the second is if you click on groups, maintain groups. Okay, even the groups also do not exist. Now click on copy, and you can copy from 1000. Sorry, our controlling area is not AU01, it is ZA
Z01.
ZA01. Yeah, ZA01. Click on intervals. Yes, it does exist. Yeah. So all these number ranges exist for your controlling area. And if you go to groups, now you have in group section, you can be more specific when you create the number range, because in groups you already have groups related to the CO document posting. For example, planning. If you are doing planning, so you can create different number range. For example, planning primary cost. If you double click on that, okay. So for planning, the number ranges are 2, 1 to 199, 1000 to 199. So for each group you can create different number ranges. Planning, you have transfer posting, you have statistical ratios. So each group will allow different number ranges: settlement allocation, overhead surcharges, imputed cost allocation, allocate costs, CO general, group without text, primary postings, planning transactions, actual postings, other transactions, group without text, finances, and okay. So these are the groups and the number ranges. Okay. But if you want to see the number ranges in one place, then you can click on display or change intervals, and all the number ranges will be displayed in one place. But you can't recognize here that which number range is allocated to which group. In order to check this, you have to go into the group button. Go back, and next is maintain versions. Now version concept, you will find it very common in SAP, because version concept is in different modules. Okay, not only in CO. Um, yeah, it is most commonly used in CO module. Okay. Maintain versions. It is also used for MM as well. Yeah. If you click on documentation and see its definitions, versions enable you to have independent sets of planning and actual data. Yeah, like you can create multiple versions, yeah, to see the data. Yeah, for example, for planning you can create a different version, for actual you can create a different version. In planning you use versions to configure alternative scenarios. Basically version is used for alternative scenarios. Okay, it could be for an analysis purpose. Yeah, based on different assumption. For example, the different versions can represent different employment markets, price and wage increases, or sales program. You normally configure the most likely scenario in version 0. So most of the planning actual data postings we use in version 0 mostly. Yeah, at advanced level, for example, in product costing and profitability analysis we use different versions, but most commonly used version is 0. Okay. The planned data you enter there forms the basis for calculating planned prices for activity type and determine the rate with which activities containing actual amounts can be settled. Version 0 also contains all actual data postings. The plan and actual data for version 0 can be used in plan or actual comparisons and variance analysis. What is variance analysis?
Difference between budget and actual.
Exactly. Yeah, difference between actual and planning. Yeah. If you execute versions, so you will notice
Versions are industry specific, or
it's posting, different, is for analysis purpose, not for industry specific. It's nothing to do with the industry, but it's just for the reporting purposes. Okay, so we have version 0. As you can see, different versions allows either planning or actual, yeah, or WIP. WIP is work in process. RA means result analysis. Normally we use WIP and RA in product costing module. And the fourth is variances. So version 0 is the one for which all these options are ticked. As you can see here, okay, there is no other option. Everything can be performed in version 0. Now after this, if you click on controlling area settings, double click on that and give the controlling area ZA01, continue. So you will notice that by default version 0 is activated, and all planning or actual postings are done in version 0. Valuation view. If you click on legal valuation means valuation in the company code currency. When we say legal valuation means valuate. Valuate means planning, yeah, that you are valuating your stocks. Yeah, valuating your stocks and your costs of sales, purchase. So everything you are valuating related to CO module in legal valuation in company code currency. Group valuation is group currency. Yeah. Profit center valuation. This question is also asked in the certification question, that do we have profit center valuation separately? Now cost center and profit center are not something related to CO or just for posting. It can be two different departments. Cost center is like a department, yeah, it's like an office, like you can say a separate office, and it can have an address as well. It can have different managers as well, which always plan the plan the cost. And profit center, same, it could have an address, or it could different department. And the valuation for profit center could be different from the company code currency and the group currency. So profit center valuation can be in different currency as well. If it is a German company, so profit center can be located in Switzerland or France, or maybe in US, where the currency is US. So it depends on the company in which currency they wanna valuate the stocks. So profit center valuation currency could be different. And then parallel cost of goods manufactured. This is also the part of product costing. Okay. So normally we do it product costing, in which many factors are involved. And parallel, when we say the parallel word represents the valuation in multiple currencies
side by side.
side by side. in euro, if you want to see in euro, in USD, yeah, but the exchange rate is changed according to our settings in SAP NetWeaver. So after this, highlight this and go to settings for each fiscal year. Now you have to notice, and this is another question in the certification exam, that in controlling module, most of the objects we will create, for example, controlling area, um, cost center, profit center, everyone will have a validity date. Like they can be valid from one year, 1 year to many years. Now this controlling area ZA01, if you wanna, after a year, if you wanna dispose it, yeah, or expire it, yeah, so you don't have to delete or anything, do that, yeah, you just create another controlling area in 2015. Automatically ZA01 validity date will be from today's date till the and till that date when you create the new controlling area.
Even if we create it in middle of next fiscal year, or we have to create it.
Yes, you can do it if you want in the middle of the year. So every year, but you are using, in this setting it represents that you are using one controlling area, and by default all these years are copied. Copying allowed. This button represents that if you make a planning in 2014, you can copy it into the next year, 2015. So copying allowed, but if I uncheck this option, you can't copy the planning into the next year. So companies mostly do copy option into the next year, so that they don't have to create new planning every year. Just to save their time, they can click on this option, copying allowed. If I tick this button, integrated planning, the planning you can do into the Excel sheet. Within SAP screen, the Excel will be open, Microsoft Excel, and you can save it on the hard drive. You can make different planning templates into the hard drive. Yeah, this planning, this planning, this planning. Yeah, if you want to be more formal, instead of saving the planning into the system, you can make different plannings and save it into the hard disk, but tick this button, integrated planning. And version locked. After creating the planning, if you want that nobody can change the planning in the middle of the year, then you can lock the version and no changes will be done to the planning within that year. So now if you want to see the default settings, version settings for each fiscal year, so highlight the one in which you are in 2014 and click on details. So now you have planning and general indicators, which I have already explained you. Currency translation, we use P, yeah, cost standard translation for cost planning. Value date. So currency translation value date starts from 1st of April 2014. Orders and projects, integrated planning with cost centers or business processes. And version for indirect activity allocation. So if you tick this button, integrated planning with cost center business processes, so it means that orders, yeah, orders here represents planning orders. Okay, the orders and projects have got an integration planning. Whatever the planning you will do for the cost center, this will be done for the orders and projects as well. That's what it means. Yeah, then resource planning, click on the price calculation. So the planning price will be the average price and the actual will be the cumulative price. You have different options here. Yeah, planning can be periodic price and actual price can be periodic, average or cumulative price. Yeah, that is the formula. Yeah, so it's the standard setting is this one. Okay, cost component structure and cost component split in object currency. We can see these options into the product costing. Now after this, go back to the general version definition. Now click this button again, 0. Yeah, and now this time click on settings for profit center accounting. If you are using operating concern, then you can see the operating concern as well. But right now I just have showed you controlling area settings. Yeah, now I'm gonna show you profit center accounting. If you double click on that, so right now you can see there is no year created. Yeah, because in controlling area the years were created automatically, but for profit center the years were not created automatically, so you can create yourself. So if you click on new entries and click on year 2014, online transfer, and click on line item and exchange rate type P. Then similarly you can do 2015 online transfer and line items and exchange rate type P, and then save it.
Are we not using M?
No, in CO we use P, which means average rate for cost planning. So short description will be general version definition. Go back. Okay, after this, our next topic is integration between FI and CO. CO and FI was used to do through reconciliation ledger. Yeah, but that will be that's what I show you in new general ledger accounting. Yeah, right now I'm showing you integration between FI and CO, not CO and with the FI. Yeah? FI and CO. So if you go back to financial accounting new, and go to general ledger accounting new, click on master data, GL accounts, preparations, and edit chart of accounts list. Okay, if you execute it and your chart of accounts was ZAU1. Yeah, ZAU1. If you double click on that, integration. Okay, you have two options here: manual creation of cost elements and automatic creation of cost elements. Now, automatic creation of cost elements, if you choose this option, okay, first of all I will define you our next topic, which is cost element accounting. Yeah, so side by side we have already started this topic as well with this topic integration between FI and CO. First I will give you the definition what is cost element accounting. The cost elements classify an organization's well-weighted consumption of production factors within a controlling area. Now, cost element itself does not record or store any transaction. It is a bridge. It is a bridge between FI, or you can say FI and CO, or general ledger and cost center. It is a bridge. Yeah. So it is like a link. Now, how can you define this link? Cost element corresponds to a cost relevant item in the chart of accounts. Cost relevant item. When we say cost relevant item, so which GL accounts come into your mind?
Can you say that again?
When I say cost relevant item, yeah, so which GL accounts come into your mind?
Or expense accounts.
Expensive.
Yes, expense, yeah. With the expense, we have profit and loss as well. Yeah. So we distinguish all profit and loss, yeah, GL accounts. We distinguish between primary cost and revenue elements and secondary cost elements. Now there are two types of cost elements. First is primary cost element and the second is secondary cost element. Primary cost element. Primary cost element is the one which takes the value from the P&L accounts. Okay. A primary cost or revenue element is a cost or revenue relevant item in the chart of account for which a corresponding GL account exists in financial accounting. If the GL accounts exist in FI and you want to create cost element, so basically you want to create primary cost element. Okay. You can only create the cost or revenue element if you have first defined as a GL account. If there is no GL account, you cannot create primary cost element. Examples of primary cost elements include material cost, personal cost, energy cost. So all these types of cost should go into the cost center as well. So that's why you will have the cost center. There are primary cost center categories as well, okay, which I will show you later on. Now I will explain you secondary cost element. Secondary cost element can only be administered in CO module. Okay, it does not have any relation or link with the GL accounts. It just records the internal transactions within CO module. It does not have any link with FI. If a GL account exists in FI and you want to create secondary cost element, so the system will give you the error. Okay, you can create only primary cost element if the GL account exists, but you cannot create secondary cost element if the GL account exists. So a secondary cost element is just related to CO only.
Like what type of cost?
Like the examples can be assessment cost element. Okay, assessment, like for example, we have business scenarios when we have to transfer the cost from one cost center to other cost centers, because normally postings are flowing into one cost center. Yeah, because one cost center is assigned to the objects or master data. Like material master data can only have one cost center, but if that transaction does not belong to the specific cost center, so you have to transfer the cost and transfer the cost into the relevant cost center. Yeah, like 3-4 cost centers. Yeah, for example, it's like a product is a wheel. Yeah, and under the wheel you have nuts, bolts, rim, tire, tube. Yeah, so if the cost raises for those parts, and the cost flows into the wheel cost center. So if you want to be more specific, so then transfer the cost into the relevant spare parts. Okay, nuts cost you £1,000. Yeah, rim cost you £5,000, tire cost you £3,000. Yeah, so that is a transfer. Yeah, so this is called, we use this in the period and closing of in the controlling area, and this is done through assessment and distribution tools. Okay, assessment is done with the through the secondary cost element, and distribution can be done through the primary cost element. The second example can be internal activity allocation. Yeah, if you wanna check how many hours the labor has, how many hours the labor will work in order to produce a material, or in order to manufacture a car, how many working hours are required. If you want to calculate this like quantity wise, then you need secondary cost element. Third is the order settlement. Yeah, so we have also secondary cost element categories. Now I will go back to the example, and now integration, manual creation of cost elements. I will recommend you to use this method, manual creation of cost elements. Now cost elements also can be migrated. When you are using data migration, then you can use the option automatic creation of cost element. What will happen, as soon as you create a GL account, the cost element will be created automatically if you use automatic creation of cost element. Yeah, but if you use manual creation of cost element, then you have to create cost element manually. Now first I will show you manual creation of cost element with the option which we are using. There are two methods to create cost element. First is, if you go to accounting, controlling, cost element accounting, master data, cost element, individual processing, and create primary, create secondary. Okay. The other thing which you need to remember, that in controlling, everything we create is in the form of hierarchy or groups. In cost center and profit center, the hierarchy is mandatory. You cannot create a cost center or cost center group without a hierarchy, but you can create cost element without a hierarchy or group. So you have the option here, cost element group. Yeah, first you create a group, and under that group you can create the primary or secondary cost element. So if you click on create primary, another thing is, as I mentioned, that in CO, every object or master data, you will notice that it will have validity date. So cost element also has got a validity date, valid from. Okay. So if I want to create primary cost element, so the example I will show you from the first GL account, which is 5,000. Yeah, 5,000 we have created 5,000. So cost element should also be 5,000. Yeah, because cost element will pick the same GL account. Yeah, and valid from, give the date validity from 01/4/2014, and you can change like 31/12/99, whatever you want. Yeah, you can keep the validity date. click on master data and you will be purchases. Your system has picked up automatically. This is a purchasing account. Now cost element category. If you click on this, these categories are related to primary cost element. The first is primary cost or cost reducing revenues. We will be working on this much. Yeah. What is primary cost or cost reducing revenue?
Those impacting the PL. Those one who impact the PL.
This one we will use primary cost element, but I mean cost reducing revenue.
Cost of sales.
Yeah, you can say any other example.
Cost of sales reduce the revenue.
Yeah.
To G.
So other example can be if you own a building, if you hire a building and you give some of its offices on rent. Yeah. So you are hiring the building, but you are also getting the revenue because you have let out some of its offices.
Okay.
So this is called cost reducing revenues. Okay. So we choose the number one category, number one. Other thing which you have to note is default account assignment. If you choose here cost center, so that will be, because cost element is like a bridge, it works like a bridge. It does not save the transaction itself, yeah, because in the end of the day, when you choose the cost element, you must use the cost center as well. But you can make the cost center default in this screen. Default means if you choose the cost center default, what will happen automatically, the system will not ask you to pick up the cost center. The system will automatically post into the default cost center. Okay, so this is the default account assignment. The second is internal order. That's the same logic for internal order, because internal order also saves the transaction, but there are two types of internal orders, real and statistical. Statistical records the internal order, but real internal order has to be settled into the cost center in the month end or year end closing. Okay, so that the second option is the default internal order. So now if I click on save, so the first cost element has been created. That is a manual, a manual way. The other way to create cost element is, if you go to FS00 and the next one was $5010 rent, yeah. If you click on display, now rent GL account is an expense account, yeah. So if you click on edit cost element, you have a button here on the top. If you click on edit cost element, you will be on this screen. Automatically validity date has been picked up from the last cost element, and click on master data, choose the cost element category 1 and click save. So the second primary cost element has been created.
So when we are creating GL, we can automatically
manually
we can create at the same time
without creating. Exactly, that's right. So you see that you have to update the financial statement version and you have to update the cost element, yeah, whenever you create the GL account. Okay, it is within chart of accounts, manual creation of cost elements, rather I will say that all of this come under cost element accounting. And transaction code is KA01. So if you remember the transaction code to create cost element, it is KA01. Now I will show you automatic creation of cost elements. So let's say you have created GL accounts, yeah, but it's like 100 GL accounts, yeah, and you want to create cost element. Normally it is decided before the data migration, but let's assume that you have forgotten to create cost center. Now what is the options you have left to create cost elements later on, yeah, with the fast option. So what you can do, you can go back into the chart of accounts and choose this option, automatic creation of cost elements, and then save it. Choose chart of accounts. Now if you go back, and under CO click on cost element accounting, master data, cost elements, automatic creation of primary and secondary cost element. Click on this, and the first is make default settings. Execute, verify the chart of accounts, continue, and you will be on this screen. Click on new entries. Okay, also if you open the list of the GL accounts which you have created so far, so this is the list of the GL accounts, yeah. So you want to create 5020 as well, so click on 5020, and for exchange rate realized loss and exchange rate realized gain, we don't normally post it into the cost center, yeah. Also cash discount expense, we don't have cost center, yeah. So because it is not possible that for all the GL post profit and loss we must have a cost center, yeah, because some of the profit and loss are not necessary to be posted into the cost center. So in our example, I don't have a range. I will just enter the same account as a range, and the category will be 1, primary cost element, yeah. The second is revenue, so let's say 6,000 and 6,000, yeah. So only 2 accounts, yeah. Normally sales account category is revenues, yeah, but I'm not using this category for my sales account. The reason is if you are using category 11, then you must configure profitability analysis, because cost element with the category 11 will be used if your company code has got profitability analysis configured, yeah, COPA, which is called COPA, yeah. If this is not the case, you cannot use 6,000 again with the category 11, because the system will keep giving you the error. Okay, so and also you cannot post the FI document with the category 11, because FI because the transactions are not posted for profitability analysis through FI module. Transactions are only posted into profitability analysis through SD module, which is sales and distribution. And sales and distribution need the cost elements with the category 11. So we are not SD guys, yeah, we are FI guys. So that's the reason I am choosing cost cent element category 1 again for revenue. Okay, because it could be cost reducing revenue, yeah. Choose the one and then save it.
You don't need to give the description.
Click on request. Sorry, click on create, and this will be make default settings.
Automatic.
Yeah, for automatic creation of cost elements. Go back, create batch input session. To manage the big data or to load the data, we use the method of batch input session. Okay, we use the tool of batch input session. If you execute it, you have to give the session name. So let's give the session name auto cost elements. Auto cost elements. Click on execute. So two accounts we gave, yeah. So if it is 100 accounts, you can have the full list of all the 100 accounts, 100 profit and loss accounts. Okay, so it is giving you the option. These are processed by processing in the controlling area from 1299, yeah. Okay, if you want, you can create the variant if you want. Now batch input session has been created. Now you have to execute batch input session. Execute, and that's the session name we created here, auto CES. If you select it and click on process session, okay, display errors only, and you can choose extended log expert mode and click on process session overview. Okay, click on processed. In process, so if you have any error or anything like that, the system will notify you, yeah. But it is done, processed, yeah, it is already processed. Now in order to check it, you can go back, go to FS00 and check that the salaries and labor expenses have been created as cost elements. Double click on that and click on edit cost elements. It's already created. Okay, so if there is 100 GL accounts, then you have to create with this method. Okay, so normally the companies do not go for automatic creation of cost elements, yeah. So I will change the settings again and I will keep it as manual creation of cost elements.
Why do you prefer the automatic?
Because all the P&L accounts cannot be cost element. because
there are so many.
Because if you will if you will create them as cost element, then you have to assign the profits cost center as well. Like I haven't created for exchange rate loss and exchange rate gain. Yeah, I haven't created any cost center because I don't want to. But if I will choose the option automatic creation, and then I will create any GL profit and loss account, automatically cost element will be created. And when we do the posting, it will keep disturbing us to give the cost center now, because it will be mandatory then.
So in that case, can you, when you're setting up your number range for your GL, if you've got like the internal number range for your GL account, can you set them out from there, saying that this is will be part of the cost element?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah. It's whatever you want to do. If you want to create a separate number range and mention, okay, this is all of them are related to cost element, within this range every P&L account you will create will have cost element automatically. That will be created. Yes, it's good. Yeah. And normally this happens because the companies knows within which number range cost element will be created.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so manual creation of cost element and then save it. Now I will show you how we can create secondary cost element. Yeah, the settings for the automatic creation for you can because you can see the category. Yeah, category for both primary and secondary cost element were in one screen. To go back, so the first option to create secondary cost element is the same for automatic creation. Like if you go back to the make default setting, so you will notice the category. Yeah, the category covers both primary and secondary cost element, because normally primary cost element will have only 6 options. Yeah, and the rest of them are for the secondary cost element. So secondary, this category covers both primary and secondary, and accordingly you can choose the category in front of the range. Yeah, and that account will be created, either it is secondary or primary. And the second way to create primary cost element is through the menu path, and the transaction code is KA06. This is for primary, and KA06 secondary. So if you double click on create secondary, now secondary can have alphanumeric or it can be any number which you want. Yeah, let's say I want to create 9001. Yeah, and then enter, and I give the here name, let's say I give the labor hours, description labor hours, cost element category. So element category I will choose internal activity allocation, because labor hours are calculated in controlling module. Can you calculate labor hours in FI module, ST module, or MM module?
No.
Yeah. So this is something which is related to management accounting.
Mm.
Yeah. So labor hours, that's why labor hours is a secondary cost element. So it is internal activity where labor hours were consumed in manufacturing the product. Yeah. So 43 and then save it. So you have created a secondary cost element. So in short, secondary cost element should not have any GL account, should not have any corresponding GL account. If it does, the secondary cost element will not be created.
So from where it take the information?
It's independent.
Okay, so we have to
Manually, yeah,
fill in.
exactly.
Okay.
Or we have to assign it into our later configuration.
So all management type of costs are secondary.
Yes, you can say that, which is not possible to, which is not possible to calculate from the external external sources. Yeah, like F5 module is an external module for CO people.
That's why, yeah.
Yeah. So if the transaction is not related to external source, then it is secondary cost element.
Right.
Like labor hours. Now labor hours will be in quantity, yeah, quantitative.
Machine hour.
Okay. Now the second, okay, I will go and display you, and you will notice the cost element category. Yeah, you have 21 internal settlement, 31 order or project result analysis, 41 overhead rates, 42 assessment, 43 internal activity allocation, 50 project related incoming orders, sales, then incoming orders others, then cost, and then earned value. So if you go through these categories, so you will acknowledge that where secondary cost elements can be used.
Can we not use it like assessment? Because we are
We
assessing.
will use it, but not the we will use it when we will be in our topic inter distribution and assessment, yeah, month end closing. Okay, so I will create a new secondary cost element, and the category I will give it assessment. So CO module is quite big and it is a vast subject. Yeah, you can say it doesn't have any end, because the more you stretch it, it will be more flexibility. Yeah. So that's the reason. I will touch at every string of CO, which will make you easier to go and understand it into much depth. Okay, next is you can create cost element group, yeah, but this is optional. Okay, this is not mandatory. You can create two groups, revenues and expenses. So this is optional, and now I will proceed. Okay, through the information system, you can see the reports for cost and revenue element accounting. Yeah, and information system is for the reporting, and cost element, most of its activities are linked with the cost center. So we will see its work when we do in the cost center. Now I will proceed to the next topic, which is cost center accounting. Okay, the definition of the cost center is an organizational unit within a controlling area that represents a defined location of cost incurrence. Okay. It specifies where the cost has incurred, at which purpose. Yeah. The definition can be based on functional requirements, allocation criteria, physical location, responsibility for cost. The cost incurred by your organization should be transparent. This enables you to check the profitability of individual functional areas and provide decision-making data for management. We have already created cost center standard hierarchy within the controlling area. Now if you go, I am in the end user screen. Yeah. If you go to cost center accounting and click on master data, and within the cost center accounting you can create cost element and cost element group as well. Click on standard hierarchy. You can create cost center within this transaction code change, or you can create cost center manually by using the transaction code KS01. Whatever the method you like. Yeah, I like the method to create cost center by using this transaction code OKEUN. Okay, that KS01 belongs to the second one. Yeah, this one is OKEON. So first I will show you OKEON. Double click on that. And as you can see, standard hierarchy already exists. Yeah. Now you can create the groups under the hierarchy, whatever your cost centers within the company. Now this can be done through the client's requirements. You have to understand and write down whatever the client requirement is and then create the cost center. First you give the name of the hierarchy. So let's say it is OD Limited, yeah, and the name will be changed. Then click this button and create group lower level. Click, because it is it is little bit user friendly transaction code. Yeah. So the first group name I will create, let's say administration, admin. Then the second group I will create group same level, utilities. Operations, yeah. So let's say operations. So you mean utilities will come under operations. Okay. So operations. So this will be operations. And under the operations you can have create group level utilities. So create group same level. So the next one can be assets. Yeah, assets. So let's say assets.
Why do we need to create this one? Because when we allocate it with the GL range,
Which one?
the cost centers,
Yeah.
so it will follow the financial accounting hierarchy because we allocated with the P&L,
Yeah.
general
Yeah.
ledger.
Yeah.
So it will automatically in the cost center in CO we copy it same.
Yeah.
So it will not give us the same hierarchy.
No. This cost center hierarchy is separate. It is nothing to do with the GL. That is cost element. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
cost center. Cost element is the same as P&L. Yeah. But cost center is the one which records the transaction. Cost element is the
So it categorizes it and that copies from the FI.
cost center is always created within the standard hierarchy. The simple definition is cost element carries the cost center records the cost. Okay, so cost center, I am creating these hierarchy and groups for cost center in order to make the flexibility, classification or flexibility for the end users to identify that which cost should go into which cost center. So this is just a classification or categorization. So next is assets. Yeah. So assets. Similarly, next is products. Products which your company is manufacturing. Yeah. One was wheels. Yeah. And second was engine. Two we have defined. Yeah. Business in the business area as well, and the I'm gonna create as a cost center as well. Yeah. So let's say products. So under the products we have different cost centers like raw materials, yeah, and labor cost. So product. So under the products you have create group lower level. So the one is engine, and the second is wheels. Create group same level.
Or you go to product and say lower level.
Yeah, you can do that.
You go to engine,
Yeah.
assembly.
Wheels.
On the admin, you could have HR, for instance. Can you?
Yeah, you can. I'm just creating the one which we
relevant to
which will be using.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Otherwise, you can create HR, research and development. Yeah.
Yeah. Finance.
Like
You know the law.
Mm.
You have solicitors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solicitors.
Legal.
Yes. Yeah. Legal cost center in which all your solicitor fees going into, and you can define many cost centers. Yeah. So let's say administration. Under the administration I am gonna create one more group which is like labor. Yeah, under that labor hours. Yeah. Okay. So create it.
But labor hours will not come in operations.
Yeah, I thought they will also come in operations.
Administration is the rent and utilities are administration.
No, administration utilities you told me under operations. Yeah.
Yeah, but utilities for the plant where the car is manufactured.
Yeah.
That will come in operations. But utilities for the head office will come in administration.
Okay, all right, yeah. So that's fine. Utilities can come under both of them, yeah. So let's say operations. You want to create labor under operations. So create group and lower level, and this will be labor. Keep saving it. Now you have to create cost center. Now you can either create cost center within this screen, yeah, within this transaction code, or you can create it by using the transaction KS01, whatever you like, yeah. And also you have to use naming convention to create the cost center. Do you know what is naming convention?
Yeah, like the essay for general ledger document.
Yeah, well, every company will have its own standards and guidelines to create to have naming convention. So it's not like uh, you can have one specific naming convention for all of them. The company, the client itself will define what should be the naming convention.
Okay.
So under the labor, if I create the cost center, I will right click, or I have buttons on the top as well, yeah. And I have the option here, create cost center. And this is cost center master data, yeah. So here in this screen, we will create cost center master data. So let's say I'm going to show you the example of the naming convention, yeah, from one of the company. The first digit will be the last digit, last letter of the controlling area, yeah. And the controlling area is ZA U1, yeah. So 1 is the controlling area, yeah. The second is the company code. The company code is AU01. Then you have the first letter of the main group, which is operations, O. Then you have the two letters of the cost center, which is in discussion, which is labor, yeah, LA. Then you have the number of the cost center, 01. Okay. So I know if you don't know the naming convention, it looks horrible, yeah. But if you know the
It
naming,
does make sense when you've been using that.
exactly. So every company will have the similar naming convention to create the cost center. Okay. So I have seen in BAT it's very easy naming convention they are following. Yeah? They're not following that much difficult there. But I am telling you difficult one so that you can be prepared for the easy one. Yeah. Because I can skip the company code and controlling area and that's just mention LA01. I can do this, yeah. But I'm just using the difficult one so that you can remember. Yeah.
Is this a standard in SAP?
This is not standard. This is my own standard. Yeah. So you can choose whatever you like. Yeah. But this is the naming convention I am showing you.
It's easy to go back though, isn't it? It's easy to go back if you have any problem. You can always remember.
You can't actually delete this cost center once. Yeah. You can delete this if you haven't done any posting. Yeah, but
no, but just looking at the sequence, you can quickly know.
Because you look at it, you know that it's for
this,
the company code.
This naming convention will be first discussed with the client and then be written down in the blueprint document.
That's right, yeah.
Before you use it into the creation of cost center.
Yeah.
Okay, now you have time frame 1st of January 2014 till 31st December 999. Yeah.
fiscal year, 1st of April.
1st of April. Name will be labor hours. Description, labor hours. Person responsible, you can choose the person responsible who is maintaining it. It could be a manager. Yeah. Then you have, as you notice, you have primary cost element category, secondary cost element category. Now you have cost center category. Yeah? Okay, so now I will show you cost center category. Yeah?
Can I just ask a question? When you put on the basic data, user responsibility, because there is a command, I can't remember what is it, to find the cost center owner. Is that where the name should come up on that?
Yeah, that's right.
On the user responsible.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, user responsible. You can choose person responsible there.
Right.
Okay, so you can give
it's
it.
Like the cost center owner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So now choose the cost center category. Yeah. If you click on this button, and this is related to the labor hours. Yeah. So labor hours is related to, let's say, production. Is related to the production. So you have many categories, as you can see: production, service cost center, sales, administration, management, research and development, services, marketing, allocation cost center, consulting, development, production, logistics. Yeah. So you have many cost center categories. So I'm gonna choose production. Click on now. With the cost center category, the functional area will be picked up in the next screen. If you go to organization, okay, the creation period must include the key date, and the key date will be starting. Okay, with the key date, you see key date is starting from 1st of June.
Alright, 1st of January.
That is the standard setting. Yeah.
Or can we proceed?
Yeah, we can proceed. Yeah. So I will put number 1. Yeah.
Okay.
And go to organization, because the key date should be changed by the administration.
Okay.
Now fill in all required entry fields. Company code, because how many companies we have assigned? 2. Yeah. So that's why this is asking us which company code this cost center belongs to. If we define only one company code, this field, you will not see this field. There will be no company code field. You can see that you are looking at this field because we have assigned 2 company codes and you have to choose one. Yeah? So let's choose AU01, and the business area is related to which one? Engine. Yeah? Let's say AU02. We haven't created the profit center. Okay. If you press enter, you will have the warning that no profit center assigned, specified. We will create profit center and then define it later on. Yeah. Sorry, AU02 is wheels. Yeah. The first one is wheels. The second one is engine.
Yeah.
So let's say we will work on the wheels or D wheels. Yeah. Indicators. You can lock the lock for this cost center for actual primary cost, plan primary cost. So right now this is used for actual revenue and plan revenues. This cost center, sorry, you cannot use this cost center for actual revenues and plan revenues, but you can use for all other options: actual primary cost, plan primary cost, actual secondary cost, and plan secondary cost. Okay. Okay, these are the templates. Address, so you can have the address of the cost center. It is a physical, it could be a physical location as well. And this is the communication, which you have telephone, fax number, and every option. Then you have the history. After this, click on save. So you have the warning, profit center accounting active, no, but no profit center specified. Now if you wanna check the relationship between cost center and profit center, so cost center and profit center will have the one-to-many relationship. Click on save. Now similarly, you can create one cost center for wheels.
For engine.
Wheels, yeah, because we are working business area wheels or D wheels.
Ah, okay.
So cost center will be 1 AU01 and
WH.
P products WH01. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will be Audi wheels.
But I thought we just created the audio wheels.
Was that the engine, right?
No,
it
that
was-
was wheels.
It was wheels. Or we're doing
We
the same
selected
thing.
AU02. That is wheels.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, well, you picked the wrong A1 then.
No,
No, we are
AU02
subcategorizing it.
AU02 is wheels and AU03 is engine, yeah.
That's
So business area, that is business area we picked up.
right.
Okay.
But no, my question is that a while ago, you did the same thing here. Created this cost center.
So
It
that
was under wheel.
no, that he created for labor. Now it is categorizing between wheel and engine.
Was it labor?
Yeah, because the cost center naming
Oh,
was
right.
LA.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that was for labor hours. This is for Audi wheels, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Audi wheels category will also be production, yeah.
Mhm.
So we will create number one production. Yeah. And in the organization, so company code AU01 and business area will be AU02. Yeah. So Audi wheels. Okay. And then save. It will give us warning about profit center accounting, but we will assign it when we create the profit center. So I have created two costs centers, for one for labor hours and one for wheels. Okay. Similarly, we can create one for engine as well. Now cost center also is migrated through data migration through LSMW. So click on create cost center and this will be 1 AU01 PEN01 1 and organization AU01 business core area AU03. So this time, because this is for engine, so I'm using Audi spare parts. Okay, sorry, not for engine, our it was spare parts, yeah. So our second business area. If you go here, so you can change it spare parts.
We can say engine.
Engine spare parts, yeah. And if you notice this activation status, this will be green, yeah. Now, after creating the cost center, you have to create the profit center. If you create a new session and go to accounting, controlling, profit center accounting, master data, profit center, individual processing. So by using the transaction code KE51, create and create profit center. So before we create the profit center standard hierarchy, we will see the customization for profit center accounting, and that is our next topic, yeah, creations of profit centers. If you go to SPRO, SAP reference IMG, and go to controlling, okay, you can access profit center accounting from the controlling node or from the enterprise controlling, because it is also the part of enterprise controlling as well. Okay. Its definition is profit center is an organizational unit in controlling to recognize your profit. It reflects a management oriented structure of the enterprise for the purposes of internal control. Operating results for profit centers can be analyzed using either the cost of sales approach or the period accounting approach. So there are two types of analysis, yeah, cost of sales approach or period accounting approach in the profit center. Also, profit center analyzes the cost for internal revenues. For external revenues, we use profitability analysis. So this profit center accounting is used for internal revenue, analyzing the internal revenues.
Like department revenue.
Yeah, department, or if you transfer the, if you transfer the stock from one profit center to another profit center, so also it affects on the price as well. So this also maintain what should be the value of the stock. So also we do the similar planning for the on the profit center as well as in the cost center. So first we will do some configuration. Profit center accounting, basic settings, set controlling area, execute, and controlling area is ZA01. Execute it. After that, click on controlling area settings, and the first is maintain controlling area settings. Execute, and you will be on this screen. The first is standard hierarchy. If you notice that within the controlling area we created the cost center standard hierarchy. So this standard hierarchy is related to the profit center. So we will create profit center standard hierarchy, let's say PCSH. PCSH means profit center standard hierarchy. AU01. Tick this button, elimination of internal business volume. So this will avoid double entry into the profit center, because if the two cost center using the same profit center, so it will avoid the double postings. Profit center local currency, you will have different options. Either you can go for controlling area currency, group currency, and profit center currency. This is another question in the certification exam, that what are the currency types in the profit center. So you have 5, 6 options in which you have to choose 3, which are these ones. So select profit center currency and then confirm, and profit center local currency is
GBP, because we're using operative.
Okay, let's say GBP, yeah. But controlling area, as I mentioned, is the one, yeah. So controlling area currency is euro. Okay, so if you wanna choose profit center local currency, so you can choose GB. If you wanna store transaction currency, yeah, in which the transaction takes place, then you can store it, yeah, by tick on this button. If you don't tick this button and don't wanna use transaction currency, that is fine. But if you are using it, it will consume your system resources and your system can be slow. Okay, like normally in FI we see that we do not tick on open item management for reconciliation accounts. The reason is that the additional system resources are used, and the system speed, it can affect on the system speed. Valuation view, you have legal valuation, group valuation, profit center valuation, and parallel cost of goods manufactured. And ALE distribution method. ALE means alternative link enabled. Okay. Control indicators, this is starting from 2014. Click on save and your profit center controlling area will be created. Go back. Click on activate direct posting, and you have the option set control parameters for actual data. Before we set control parameters for actual data, we have to create dummy profit center. Now dummy profit center is a concept in which probably 3-4 questions always comes in the certification exams of CO. The dummy profit center is a default profit center to which data is posted when the corresponding object has not been assigned to a profit center. I created a cost center. Yeah, cost center. Did I assign any profit center?
No.
No. So what will happen if the posting will go into the cost center?
Goes into dummy.
Exactly. Yeah, without creating dummy, you cannot proceed with the profit center creation. So dummy is mandatory. Okay. So in other words, if there is no profit center assigned to a cost center, the posting to that cost center will automatically go to the dummy profit center. Yeah, so that is the logic behind dummy profit center, and dummy profit center by default has does not have any validity date. It's just like by default it's 999. Yeah?
So the dummy profit center, is it created?
No, I'm gonna create it.
You're
now.
gonna have to create it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
The next step, before I set control parameters for actual data, I will create dummy profit center.
Alright,
And to create dummy profit center, you have to go through IMG screen. It's better, yeah.
Okay.
So click on master data profit center, and you have the option create dummy profit center.
Yeah.
Execute, create dummy profit center, and just choose here dummy AU01. Yeah. Then press basic data and click on name. Yeah. Name will be dummy and description will be dummy profit center. You can choose person responsible, but it's not mandatory. Profit center group. The group is which is a standard hierarchy which you have already created, yeah, PCSH. So if you tick this button, so PCSH, it will be automatically picked up. Yeah. Segment. Now segment, the logic of segment we will see in the new general ledger accounting. Okay, but I'm not gonna assign any segment for profit center. So the chain is segment is assigned into the profit center is assigned into the cost center is assigned into the cost element, and cost element will have a corresponding GL account. Do you understand the chain? Yeah. Segment into profit center into cost center into cost element, and cost element into has got a GL account. So it's like integration between FI and CO.
So far we're still working on the primary cost.
Secondary.
So we are on the second last step. We are creating the profit center now, the segment.
No. The cost element concept is this concept which I'm telling you belongs to primary cost element.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yes.
talking. That's what. Yeah.
If the cost element is primary, then this cycle will work. Yeah?
Right. So we haven't touched the secondary cost element yet.
We haven't. No, we have created labor hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have created labor hours, but later on we haven't done anything related to secondary cost element.
Okay.
Everything we are doing now
Related.
belongs to primary cost element.
Correct.
Okay. Now segment is used for segment financial statements. Okay, which you can normally see into the new general ledger accounting. Yeah, but here I will not give that segment into the dummy profit center. Yeah. So you can see here profit center master data, you have indicators, you have company codes. So you can, by default, you can assign all the company codes with one profit. By default, all the company codes are assigned to the profit center. But if you want to delete it, you can delete it. That is another question in the certification exam, that can you delete the additional company code from the profit center if it is not needed. So you can do this. Okay. So you can change history from here, click on save, and the profit center dummy has been created. Now next is go back to the set control parameters for actual data. If you execute it and click on new entries, now you have to choose year from year. Yeah. So let's choose from 2014, line items, online transfer, and save. 2015, line item, online transfer, and then save. Okay, go back, and now you have to check whether the document number range exists for actual data for profit center. So in order to check that, planning, basic settings for planning, and main define number ranges, execute and click on intervals. So no number range exists. Click on copy 1000. So was copied to AU01. If you click on display intervals, so the number range exists now. Yeah. Now go back. You can see the group number ranges via group as well. Yeah. Like planned document is P0. So all these number ranges are assigned group via group wise. Similarly, for actual postings, click on this and basic settings, define number ranges for local documents, execute, and click on intervals. So for actual number range already exists. Yeah. Now I will go back into the easy access screen, yeah, and will create the profit center within the standard hierarchy. Click on KCH5N, yeah, that is the transaction code KCH5N, and you will be on this screen, and you can see dummy is already created. Create group lower level. Okay, now for we are using labor hours. Yeah, our focus is first on the labor hours. So labor hours, if we have to, because profit center records the both revenue and cost reducing revenue, yeah, and cost as well. Profit center records all of them and give you the total picture, give you the total figure through which you can see whether either your company is in profit or loss, yeah, internally. So give the group name operations and click on create
operations. We can divide spare parts and
okay. Labor, and under that you can create profit center. Okay, the naming convention for profit center, let's say I will define profit center. The first one will be start from P, yeah, then the company code AU01, then O operations, then LA01 labor, and then it will be labor hours. Segment Now you have to create the segment. Yeah, if the segment is not already exist, so in order to create segment, you have to go into the display IMG screen and go to enterprise structure, definition, financial accounting, and you have the option define segment, execute, and here you can create the segment. This segment is used for segment financial statements. Okay. Click on new entries and then you can choose here AU01 segment. The segment is labor hours. Save. And you can assign this segment into the profit center. Then you have indicators, and you can have lock indicator, okay, formula planning. Click on company codes, and here you can see which company codes are assigned. So if I uncheck this, yeah, so what will happen, that labor hour profit center will not be assigned to the OD one. Yeah,
German one.
To the
German one. Yeah, so I have unassigned this one. Yeah, address, you can give the address of the profit center. Communication, you can give the telephone number, fax, and that's the history. Similarly, you can choose the products as well as the profit center.
The activation code didn't go green. Is that a problem then?
No,
We didn't say.
it will be fine. Okay, create group lower level, and the first one I will create wheels. And this will be P AU1 and PWH01 wheels. Segment will be wheels as well. If you go back to the segment screen, so you can create the second one, AU01 SEGWH.
For profit center hierarchy, we need segment.
For profit center master data, this is the profit center master data I am creating, yeah, within the standard hierarchy. And similarly, you can see the company codes. So I'm gonna assign both of them with this company code. Now you have to, this is not activated, so click this button, activate. And then continue. Save. So now this is green, yeah. Now you have to go back to the standard hierarchy for cost center and assign the profit center. Double click on that, go to organization and choose the profit center which you have created. So this will be labor hours. So labor hours, yeah, that's the one. Enter, and then wheels. Wheels, and then save it. So that's how we do the assignment between profit center and cost center. Yeah. So we will create further cost center and profit center when we need it. Yeah. So the next topic, which is our actual or planned data. Yeah. So far the cost center, profit center, and cost element we have created. These will be enough to see actual or planned data. Yeah. If in case I have to create more, then I keep creating more cost center and profit center. So we will do our next topic, actual or planned data, after the break.